welcome to another episode of Coast Connections. I'm Elizabeth Hines, and today you're going to be meeting a very extraordinary artist from Campbell River, BC. You're probably very familiar with his work, but you have no idea who he is. He does work for the Canadian Mint, as well as other artistic things that we'll discover this evening. Please welcome to the set, Mr. Glen Green.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to have you here, Glen.
Nice to be on the show.
Yeah, all the way from beautiful downtown Campbell River,
Yep.
BC. Couldn't live in a more beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, and it actually was the influence for your latest coin that we're going to introduce shortly.
Yeah, the Mint had called, and they were going to select artists from each of our coasts to represent some kind of animal, which I got to choose.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And yeah, and we do have a cabin on Cortez Island, which I did use some of the landscape for the backdrop.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll see that in a moment.
Yeah.
But Glen Green, how did the Mint come to know you? How do you get selected by the Canadian Mint?
Well, yeah, it is a funny story because for the 2010 Olympics, they started asking artists in 2007. And somebody has suggested my name. I have no idea who he is. And they gave me a call, and I ended up, you have to compete for each and every coin. So I ended up winning that series and got to do it from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we'll show that series in a minute.
Oh, yeah,
But
right.
they probably knew about you from the incredible sports portraits that you do.
Possibly, yeah.
And other entertainment figures, and this incredible eagle that you did from a
Nice.
photograph that you took.
Yeah, in Campbell River, just as a hobby, when I go walking and whatnot, I take a lot of pictures of eagles, and I'm now beginning to put them into some of my paintings.
Wow, that's absolutely beautiful. I thought it was a photograph. I mean, it's so realistic, and nice to have him on set with us.
Yeah.
First eagle we've had on the set.
Okay. Wow.
So Glen, how did you find art? How old were you when you discovered this incredible talent?
I've told people before, basically, I probably drew all over my school books when I was a kid.
That's a good
And
sign.
I remember I would go home and draw and whatnot, but I also did everything else with all the other kids. And growing up, you know, I played football, baseball, a lot of hockey, raced dirt bikes, and all the regular stuff. But I would have my art all the time, and I'd do that on the side.
And your parents encouraged that too.
My parents were very supportive, yeah.
Yeah,
Which not every parent, when you say you're going to be an artist, not everybody backs you on that one.
No, that's right. And did you have any formal training for this, or are you self-taught?
No, you know, not really. I was self-taught. I briefly took a commercial arts program at Cap College, but that wasn't where I wanted to go, and that was very brief. So basically, I'm self-taught.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a real
That's from
innate...
doodling on my school books.
Keep doodling, kids. Keep doodling. So let's introduce the coin that the Canadian Mint has just released, the first coin in the Wondrous Waters of Canada series. Let's start with the sketch that you did and how that became a coin. We've got a photo of your sketch, which is, how big is this sketch, Glen?
Well, in the end, they ask you not to draw bigger than about an 8-inch circle. So it's basically page size.
Yeah.
I mean, they want as much detail as you can put in it, and shading, because like I was saying earlier, there's no point. They can't do a shadow. The engraver cannot do shadows, but they can do lumps and bumps and detail. So you give them a sketch with as much of that as you can.
So there's the sketch, which turned into the beautiful coin, the gorgeous $20 coin.
Yeah.
And it's very much like your sketch. It's not too different.
Yeah. Once I hand it over to the Mint, I mean, they can make changes. It's all in the contract. They can tweak it and whatnot. But basically, that one really was right on from what I did.
And anybody that lives here on the island knows that scene. That's just so much like home, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's right out of your backyard.
Basically, yeah.
The coin, the $20 Orca pod, is beautifully packaged. The Mint did a lovely job.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in a lovely case, the certificate of authenticity.
Yeah.
It's a $20 coin, and they're selling it for $104.95.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to go up in value.
Yes. And this one in particular has quite a unique marking on it.
Yeah, right.
Tell us about the obverse side with the Queen.
Well, for one thing, I actually looked at the series once it had been engraved, the whole series, and mine was the only one with the Queen on the back.
Instead of the King.
And I realized reading about it now that, when they asked me to do it, it was the first coin, so she was still being put on the coins at that point. And they've also added the dates and the pearls that you were talking about.
We've got a close-up of the dates of her 70-year reign,
exactly,
1952 to 2022.
Yeah.
And they've engraved 4 little pearls on that,
Right.
which they said represents the 4 different effigies the mint has used in the 70 years that she was
through her
queen.
ages, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not a coin collector myself, but I figure that's got to make that fairly unique.
I would think so.
The 1 out of the 4, yeah, yeah.
And there's a mintage of 7,500 on
Yeah.
this particular coin. And I was lucky to find one of those myself. And I was very surprised, Glenn, to find out that you didn't even get one.
I know. You know, I've done all these coins, and they pay you well,
Yeah.
but they do not give you a coin.
Isn't that funny? Well, we'll take up a collection.
Yeah.
We'll get some Olympic coins together and a few other things. Yeah. So you did the set of the 12 quarters for
Yep.
the 2010 Olympics, and
Right.
you've got a lovely shot of those. And those are
Okay.
all sports figures. Olympics and Paralympics are also
Yeah,
represented
and that was
there.
the first time, I believe, Paralympics had been put on coins like that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, which was unique.
Yeah, another first for you.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. And what was that experience like? Did they use your likenesses quite accurately?
They did. For that design, again, I have to sketch against several artists to get that. Boy, yeah, I put a simple maple leaf in the background and tied it in with all the sports. And the ones I gave them, they did a good job engraving those, yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
The third set that we have is the Transportation Confederation.
100 years of Confederation, yeah.
Yeah.
Through transportation.
And another image that we'll recognize here on the West Coast, the de Havilland Beaver float plane.
Yeah.
Beautifully sketched.
Well, funnily enough, Campbell River, at the gateway to Campbell River, coming into Campbell River, they've actually mounted one of those planes on a pedestal, an actual plane.
And there it is on your coin.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the steam train was also part of that.
Yeah.
And what
The
ship?
ship.
What ship was that? Any in particular?
Ooh,
Was
it was a
Canadian Navy?
particular ship, and now I'm not going to remember.
Yeah.
But and they were all done in a different style of art. There was an Art Deco, Art Nouveau, and a pop art.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. How rewarding. And
Yeah.
you know, so many of us have used your coins without, you know, really thinking about, well, who's the artist? I wonder how this came to be.
Well,
So-
yeah, and funnily, like the quarters for the Olympics, some of these are collector coins, so there's a limited number. But the quarters were circulation coins. There's literally hundreds of thousands of those out there.
Yeah.
So I am in your pocket.
You're a coin artist, not a con artist, though.
Yeah.
The other thing I was surprised to learn was that the Canadian Mint, there's 2 locations. They have Ottawa and Winnipeg.
Right.
But the Winnipeg facility produces 1 billion, with a B, coins every year.
See, I don't even know that.
Okay.
You're telling me something.
And the other thing, Glenn, is that they produce coins for 80 different countries.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Again,
thought it
I
was
had
just
no
us.
idea.
Well, stick with me. We'll, between the 2 of us, we can make a mint. Very good. Now, you're obviously have a background in sport. You're a sportsman yourself, so
Yeah.
that lends itself very well to all the different sport portraits that you've done, or sportraits.
Yeah.
that you
Yeah,
like
they
to
used
call
to
them.
call them that, yeah.
Yeah. We'll show some of those in a minute, but one of the ones that you sent me that really struck me was the portrait that you did of Sir Edmund Hillary, the first
Yeah.
man to climb Everest.
Yeah, I was connected with a fella in North Van that did collector plates, which really aren't that big
Like
today.
plates,
yeah, but
not
they
a
were.
license
This is
plate.
back in the 80s. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And he was from New Zealand, and he somehow hooked up with Sir Edmund Hillary.
Wow.
And we did 2 plates on him. And I was absolutely fascinated to meet the guy, first guy to climb Mount Everest, highest mountain in the world. I found that fascinating. Like I said, I've met a lot of athletes, and they're great guys. But this was, I felt, very, very unique.
Wow, what a privilege.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. And he not only was the first to climb Everest, but he also went to the South Pole, the North Pole.
Yeah.
And he was the first person to ever do all 3 of those.
I mean,
Yeah.
like old-time explorer. I mean, you
Yeah.
just don't get those guys today.
No, you don't.
Yeah, it's
No.
amazing.
No. What a privilege to meet him.
It really was.
Yeah. Mhm. Now, did he sit for that portrait? Or
No. One of the images in one of the coins, actually, I get permission to use these to put a piece together. And they actually did use that on I believe it was a $5 New Zealand dollar bill or money. And I believe he was the first guy put on their money that was not of royalty.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if we can get you one of those bills. We had a guest from New Zealand yesterday
Oh.
who might have some connections.
Okay.
Yeah. And on this particular sketch, it is just Sir Edmund Hillary, but you did a second one that had him and his Sherpa,
Yep.
Tenzing Norgay.
Yeah, that
So,
had
how
the
lovely.
two of them, obviously. And it had a couple of schoolhouses that, through time in the Himalayas, he's helped to build schools and hospitals and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So it sort of put all that together in one piece.
Yeah, he started, Sir Edmund Hillary, a wonderful foundation there
Yeah.
in Nepal to help with, as you
Exactly.
say, schools and hospitals.
Yeah.
And that continues to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you've done some other entertainment luminaries. We've got Marlon Brando here.
Yeah.
And Paul Newman. And I thought Paul Newman was a photograph. Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Now, who commissioned those for you to do?
Those I'm just doing on my own.
Really?
Yeah, 'cause,
that's your doodling on your school
Well,
books?
that's a little beyond doodling, but yeah, these are guys I grew up watching and really enjoyed. So since I've been doing all the sports, I thought, I love doing people. And not all artists do people that well, so I like it. And I thought, why not entertainment too?
Wow.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a really nice one, too, of Michael Bublé singing. That,
Now that one, actually, I was asked to do through his agent, and that they did a print, and he signed them all of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you get royalties from these when they're sold, or is it a commission? And
Some I do, some I
Yeah.
don't. You got to work it out. Like I do a lot of, I did a lot of work for the Bradford Exchange in Chicago, the collector plates again.
Right. Yep.
And I was lucky enough to land Michael Jordan, Mark McGuire, and many, many more. But those were huge, and I got royalties for those. And they sold thousands of those.
Wow.
So getting a royalty can be real. I actually still get royalty checks. I did that in 1996. I started with them. I still get royalty checks.
Wow.
I know.
You can cash those and get Olympic coins in your pocket. There's a really good one, too, of B.B. King, the blues king here.
Yeah.
Tell us about how he signed that for you.
I got a friend of mine knew his road manager, so we went to the Orpheum one night, and I'd done this painting of him. And when I carry a painting around, it's not framed, I cover it in plastic.
Sure.
So we got there, and the road manager said, look, she's going to take it backstage and get him to sign it. So that's no problem. I didn't meet him, so no big deal again. No.
Yeah.
But so she brings it back, and he signed the plastic.
Oh, no.
He didn't flip it up and sign the painting. So I had to send it on the road with him, and I didn't get it back for months. But he signed it, and I finally got it back.
Oh, that's funny. And some of the sports figures, there's a really good one here of a very young Bobby Orr with his brush cut. Very unusual to see that.
I've always liked Bobby Orr, obviously, with hockey. And yeah, I thought the croquette stage was fascinating. And I've done several pieces on him, and he's signed a couple before. And I did a print on him, too. Limited edition print. He signed all the pieces.
Very nice.
So that was good, yeah.
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah.
Still.
And Gordie Howe, another icon.
Yeah, I was lucky. I did several pieces on Gordie Howe, too. He signed, and I got to hang around with him for a few days.
Oh, wow.
He was hilarious. He's like a big kid.
Oh.
He was a lot of fun.
And he's got such twinkly eyes, too. I guess
He was really, he's always telling jokes.
Oh.
And I guess it's a privilege to be elbowed, but he's always elbowing you. Anyways, he was a lot of fun, yeah.
Very nice. And Guy Lafleur.
Another good guy. We went out for dinner. I did a thing with him, and he signed the original and whatnot. And we went out for a dinner with him. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he speak French or English with you?
He spoke English.
Yeah.
But he was a player, when I was a kid playing hockey, he was a guy I would have always wanted to meet. So it was kind of nice to meet the guy.
And we can't do sports without talking about Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
A beautiful one here of Gretzky in uniform.
Yeah, I like that one. When I do sports, there's action, but I like what I call mood pieces, where they don't have to be out there skating and shooting the puck. I think there's a lot of mood pieces with athletes in particular.
Capturing a certain moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this piece is.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. He's thinking about something.
You don't know what's going through his head, but it's not him skating and shooting.
Right.
And I really like to do those pieces.
Yeah. Well, you captured it really beautifully.
Nice.
And they also put or gave you a commission for Wayne Gretzky on a coin.
Yeah, that was for him. The Mint works with these guys to raise funds for various things, I guess. So I did that coin, a full color shot of him, and I also did another one with a small engraving of Walter Gretzky, his dad, with it too.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat. Yeah.
Now, did they sit for those when you?
No. Again, I got to look up action shots, particularly with the athletes and whatnot. And Walter Gretzky, I got to find pictures of him and then put something together.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had done a portrait and the subject didn't like it or wanted you to change it or make them look younger or richer?
Very, very. I've had them. They've made little tweaks to it, but on the whole, which I've been able to do. But on the whole, I've never had very few complaints. Yeah, and like I said, if it was minor. Yeah. And I can change it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Well, they're so realistic what you paint, and I think your sports background yourself lends itself to your paintings because you can capture movement really well.
I think it did help a lot. Yeah. I know what all the guys that I play the sports with and do things. I know what they like, and I know what I like too. And I think it did help a lot. Yeah.
Have you ever done any figure skaters?
Yeah, I did Kurt Browning.
Oh, okay.
He signed it. I met him in Alberta, a nice guy. And I did a few figure skaters. Yeah. And like I told you earlier, my mom was a figure skater.
Very cool. Yeah. That's where you get your athleticism from.
I guess.
Yeah. Have you ever done Karen Magnuson? Or
I didn't do a piece on Karen Magnuson, but my mom taught her two sisters how to skate.
Well, there you go.
Not Karen.
No, not Karen. Yeah. Karen was already out there carving up the ice. Yeah. And on average, Glenn, how long would it take for you to do a portrait? Like, take this one of Muhammad Ali, for example.
To be honest, years ago, especially when I had to make a buck, I did time it. And I was doing them in 10 days to 2 weeks.
That's it?
Yeah, but now, because, I don't put in I would be working 8-9 hour days.
Yeah.
I don't do that kind of hours. So, it can take me 3 weeks to do a piece now in that area. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it depends what it is, too.
And what type of medium do you like to use?
It's watercolor. I've never used anything else, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've never tried oils or anything else.
Watercolor is so tricky to work with.
Well, yeah, and I didn't know this. Ignorance is bliss, I guess. I was told later that that's probably one of the hardest mediums because it dries so quick and you can't make very little corrections. So I didn't really know that.
Well, you've done very successful mistakes.
Yeah.
How about Sidney Crosby? Let's talk a little bit about him.
Well, I had to paint. Certain guys you have to paint, and when I painted him, that was a few years back, that piece. But I just do these on my own. Actually, that piece I did end up doing something with a company with that. But originally, I just painted that on my own because there are certain people I will see over the years. I have to do them, no matter what.
Yeah. Have you ever done a self-portrait?
No.
How about your wife or children? Have you done?
I've dropped various people and friends in posters. I did my son and daughter. I did this beautiful golf images, generic golfers from back in the vintage days. So I've used lots of people, throughout various posters and so on,
Yeah. And is there a favorite portrait? I know it's like saying what's your favorite kid, but are there some that are so sort of special to you, it's hard to give away, or are they all hard to give away after investing so much of yourself?
They're not. There are some. Last year I sold a painting to a fella his wife bought it for his birthday, and it was Muhammad Ali in a robe with his hands taped just before the fight. And again, mood. I love that painting. It was hard to sell that one, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's maybe a couple more like that, but some of them, yeah, you really get tied into it. Yeah.
And is it hard to let them go, even if it's not one of your favorites, but it's such a big piece of yourself?
Depends how much money you get.
It all comes back to the mint. You're in the right business, Glenn.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do it to make a living. So, but you know, I know what you mean. You do get very tied into some of them, and yeah.
Yeah. Golfer Mike Weir, that was another one that you did.
Yeah, when he won the Masters, you have to do him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And did you meet him?
I didn't meet him, no.
No.
But I did a piece years ago for Gretzky's agent, actually. I did Jim Nelford and Jack Nicklaus were playing a skins game in Alberta, and I did a poster for them. And I met Nelford. He was a big-time golfer back then. He got in I think he got in a boating accident, though, and the propeller hit his arm or something.
Oh, dear.
But he was a big golfer back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. And obviously other sports you've done, Joe Montana, the football player.
Yeah.
Was that did you meet him? Was that a commissioned one?
No, I actually, funnily enough, a friend of mine, I did a trade-off for some construction at home for the painting. He was a Joe Montana freak. It works sometimes that way.
I like that kind of bartering.
Yeah.
Can you renovate my home? I'll do your profile. I like it. Derek Jeter, the pitcher for the Yankees.
Yeah, I just felt I had to do him. And you know what? I'm hoping there's going to be somebody to buy these pieces, but I did sell the Jeter piece, and you know, I mean, I've had this. I love this piece, but I've had it for years. But I don't have a gallery to show in, and I don't display it anymore.
No.
So I end up keeping them sometimes, but they're all for sale.
Yeah. You don't have a website. How can people contact you if they want to bring Muhammad Ali
Well, I got
home?
other people that show my stuff on websites. I don't actually have one personally. Yeah.
You need more time to paint rather than keeping up with your social media.
Yeah, it's funny. I've never really depended on that kind of stuff much. It's just through word of mouth, and people just sort of know who you are. Yeah. And I mean, I've done a lot of stuff with the Canucks and whatnot, a lot of commercial stuff. Yeah.
And for charities as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
charities over the years has become a real big thing.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Giving back.
Yeah. It works, yeah.
Yeah. Now, how about your hometown hero, Rob, in Campbell River?
Rod, yeah.
Yeah, Rod. Sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah, so last year, and I felt, I mean, this guy's won the Stanley Cup, and here he is a local from Campbell River, and he has a golf tournament every summer. So
charity.
I did this piece on my own and then approached them, and they said, absolutely. So that was really nice. And so he came to the studio and signed it. And him and his wife, very nice gal. And I thought that was kind of nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, and they auctioned it off at this function, and they made money for the charity.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And he's with which team is he with now? He's
with
coaching.
Carolina, yeah.
Yeah.
He played with them. He won the Stanley Cup. He was the captain. And now he coaches them, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the...
Yeah, nice guy.
Yeah. Very good. Now, what's next on your canvas, Glenn? Are you ever without a painting?
I've got an eagle painting going right now from 2 eagles I shot. Oh, it's a color piece.
Shot with a camera.
Yeah, I had to put it aside when the mint takes priority if something like it. So, but I got it going in my studio. I've got the soccer player Messi. I've got that partially done. There's a fella in Langley. I've done a whole car collection for him. He owns all these really nice cars. And I'm doing a helicopter, so I'm doing all his pieces for him. So there's always something going on.
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
What do you do in your downtime if you're not painting?
Well, I like to photograph eagles. That's become, if I want to call it a hobby. But I mean, I tie it in with the art too. So I love doing that. But I ride dirt bikes and mountain bikes and swim a lot in the summer and just all that sort of stuff. Hike.
That's where you get the energy and the inspiration, I'm sure, for a lot of your
funnily
painting.
enough, I've said to people, being an artist is great sometimes, but it's almost a blessing and a curse. Everything I look at I'm thinking, what can I do?
Yeah. Well, you've got an artist's eye. So you're like, how would I capture that?
I can't stop thinking about something to do with art.
Yeah. Do you give art lessons, Glen?
No.
No?
I don't think I'd be a very good teacher.
Why so?
I know. I've dabbled in little things, you know, where you've shown some stuff, and I just don't think I'd be very good at it. Just maybe not patient enough with people or something, you know.
Have you ever done a portrait and then not shown it to the person because you could not get in? It just was a disaster.
No,
You've never had a disaster.
So.
Wow.
I know that's it is amazing. Yeah.
It is amazing. I dabble in art myself, and I do mean dabble, and I have a lot of mistakes, like a lot of canvas buried
and, you know, there's no doubt I made a lot of mistakes back then. I've been doing this for over 40 years, so
yeah.
my mistakes go way back, and you learn by those.
Yeah. Now, is there a certain person or luminary or explorer, adventurer that you'd like to paint that you haven't yet?
Ooh. Well, you know, when it comes to the sports, of course, I'm always painting the guys I liked.
Sure.
But now all these new guys are coming along, and I don't even know enough about them. So I'm kind of leaning towards some of the entertainment now too. And so I don't have anybody in particular right now I could name, but I'm always coming across somebody that would interest me.
Yeah, yeah.
And the athletes too, some of the newer ones.
We did have another one of Roberto Luongo that we hadn't talked about with the Canucks. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one was a print.
Okay.
So we went, Luongo signed them all. Met him, he's a nice guy, and his wife was really nice. And yeah, we did a whole bunch of prints with him, and that was very successful.
That's good. And you're so fortunate to be making a living doing something that you love and something that you're so very, very good at.
Well, that's just it. I mean, again, going back to my parents supporting me and like Christy's parents, you know, very supportive people, because when somebody says they're going to be an artist, a lot of people go, really?
Yeah. Bills first, then art.
Yeah.
Glen, any closing comments, any words of wisdom for aspiring artists?
Yeah, I mean, do I recommend being an artist? It's a tough trail, but one of the things I always said was it's a lot about who you know sometimes. You got to back it up with your talent, but I have to admit my career coming up through it, it was a lot of the people, I knew the right people, but again, I had to back that up too.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just keep slugging away. That's what else can you do?
It's been a pleasure to talk to you, Glen.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure for me.
And we look forward to having you back when some of these new mystery projects that you're doing with the Mint are going to be available as well. No
problem.
Yeah. Heads or tails, we'll have you back. Yeah. Thanks very much, Glen.
Thanks a lot.
And thank you for joining us. And check your change. Glen Green might be in a lot more of your coins than you realize. And he's just up the road here in Campbell River. We hope that this has inspired you to maybe try a little art yourself or go out and enjoy nature and sports like Glen does. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Coast Connections.